Well, I think the biggest benefit to having X5 is getting consistency in leadership from one branch to the other, or one area that we're trying to improve, and all run as more of a team within Stall Peterbilt.
We were really looking for, quote unquote, a set of cold eyes to look at the process. So X5 stepped right in and helped us look at each department's role in the PDI.
We use X5 as a bit of a consultant to see how they're doing, how they're progressing, and take the leadership training more out of the management of Stall Peterbilt, because we don't necessarily have the time to spend with each individual that we're trying to develop to make them better in their field and to mentor people better. So we've let X5 help us with that and give us more insight on how they're doing, and from an outside perspective, it's very beneficial.
If you want to grow your business, you can't just stay stagnant. You can't stay doing things the same way you've always done them. X5 comes to the table and they've got new ideas, a fresh approach to things. They've got lots of experience. They've helped out Stall Peterbilt immeasurably.
If you're looking to have a deep look within your own company and expand on your management team, your internal staff, whether you're looking to bring your business to the next level and look to close some deals, this is the type of organization we want to be aligned with.
The biggest thing that I see with X5 is a consistency right across the board to help support us as leaders, to develop the leaders that are working with us, to make the workplace, the environment consistent right through all the departments, to ensure that we provide the best customer service possible.
It's been able to open our eyes as a whole group as to how we deal with each other on a daily basis, how we deal with customers. As a group, we're all extremely satisfied with the progress so far.
Well, good afternoon, friends. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well, folks, and hope that you are enjoying the last little bit of summer weather here. And before, actually, tomorrow is officially the first day of fall, and my wife's birthday is today, so her birthday always comes at the end of summer there, and she loves the fall weather, though. Welcome, and welcome to Conversations with Dune and Friends. My name is Dune Nguyen. I'm your host today, like I am every day, weekday, when we have a guest for an hour and a bit, and we're going to talk about all kinds of things. But today we have Mr. Mack joining us, and I believe Mike is in the big metropolis of Edmonton, Alberta today, and I'm in Sherwood Park, Alberta, and we're going to talk about many things, actually, whether it's business, whether it's personal development, but really we're going to talk about relationships. We're going to talk about customer service. We're going to talk about leadership and many more things. But let me do a quick introduction of our guest here, Mike Mack, before we have him join us for the conversation. So Mike, I assume you can still hear me in the green room, my friend? Wonderful. So Mike is the president of X5 Management, and he's a sought-after consultant, coach, facilitator, and speaker. X5 Management has been helping business teams maximize their potential since 2006 with the use of tailored coaching and training programs. X5 supports business in the areas of customer service, sales growth, team building, product conflict, emotional intelligence, and leadership development. They have supported clients in Canada, USA, and Australia. Now, Mike is an Amazon best-selling author of 2 books, Remarkable Service, How to Keep Your Doors Open, and Relationships for Keeps, How to Build Powerful Relationships in Business and in Life. Now, he holds an MBA from Athabasca University, completion of the governance program for the small, medium-sized enterprises at the University of Alberta School of Business, executive education, He's a member of Synergy Network in Edmonton here, and serving as a chair in 2006, and member of the ACG Association for Corporate Growth, and president from 2018-2019 for ACG Edmonton. And also a member of the Institute of Corporate Directors, and past member of Toastmasters International, obtaining his Distinguished Toastmasters DTM designation. Now, the Distinguished Toastmaster Award is given the highest Toastmasters International bestows. And the DTM really recognizes a superior level of achievement in both communication and leadership. Mike is a certified trainer for everything DISC, D-I-S-C, member of CAPS, so the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, and National TEC Canada Speaker, past president of the Rotary Club of Edmonton, Mayfield, from 2005-2006. And so with that introduction, friends, please help me in extending a warm welcome to our wonderful guest today, Mr. Mike Mack. Hey, Mike, how are you doing today, my friend?
Great. And if I was having a bad day earlier, I would just ask you read my bio, and I already feel good about myself. So thank you.
That's cool. That's cool. So you have a repeatable process. Just read it back out. Mike, before we get into the conversation and questions and showing photos and videos and stories and insights, maybe expand on your bio a little bit. Tell us about what got you here today, my friend. You've done a lot of things, but in your own words, maybe expand on that bio a little bit.
Yeah, well, thanks for the opportunity. First of all, Dune, to have me on your program today. I was excited about that. And you and I have a rich history together, and we'll talk about that later on. We've known each other north of 12 years already through various affiliations. But a quick inversion, I spent a long time, and that's over 20 years ago, in the financial services industry, and really made that pivot. Maybe that's our recent buzzword of the day from a career perspective, when I moved to Edmonton. So I've been in Edmonton just over 23 years. And really that aspiration to become an entrepreneur and do what you love to do really was the transformational pivot for me, if you will. And starting X5 almost 14 years ago, and really having the good fortune of spending time with some great people. I had the privilege of being members of Rotary and Synergy and ACG, where I've met a lot of great people, brilliant people, but at the same time, really supportive in that regard as well. You know, in my line, people ask what I do. I'm in the people business. I love building relationships. And from a career perspective, really love to make a difference in the people that I work with as well. So that's really where that put me in current state, and a lot of those channels to help us get there. Things like Toastmasters and being members of CAPS and our involvement through our MBA programs and so on, Dune, has put us to where we are today. So I'm grateful to be here, and still have a lot of work to do to grow and become wiser over the years ahead as well.
Yeah, continuous learning is a hallmark of great leaders, and you're a great leader of our community, my friend, and the business that you operate. And you're right, we probably have a good 10, 12 points of commonality, whether it's the Athabasca MBA, whether it's the Toastmasters, whether it's the Canadian Association of Professional Speakers, business owner, on and on. We can keep rambling on, hey?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think back, Dune, I was reflecting on the date, and it is probably past 12 years. You were, I believe, the charter president of TM for PM, a Toastmasters Club.
That's right. That's right. We met in 2007.
Yeah, so crazy. Yeah, so 13 years.
So 2007, I was at a demonstration by, of course, Mr. Toastmaster himself, Peter, right?
Indeed.
Yeah, so, you know, I was there, and then they say, well, we're going to launch a club. Anyway, somehow I was voted in as the president to actually charter that club. And I really enjoyed my time. And that's where we met. And you've been a mentor of that club as well, my friend. And so, you know, we met through Toastmasters. But then again, I remember you coming into my office at Manulife Place and just chat about business. Because, you know, I started my company 2006, and you did as well. So we also have that in common. Yeah, it's like we read from the same playbook there, Mike.
Indeed, we were meant to be together, Dune.
There you go. So what I'm going to do is maybe let's start right from today, present day. Tell us what you're up to with COVID, sort of as a context here. I know you're very busy doing all kinds of stuff. Maybe paint a picture of that before we sort of go back in time and discover different things. And yeah.
Yeah, great question, and I appreciate that. I mean, COVID, we need to talk about it because it's here and it's been here for a while, and I think we have our 6 months plus journey of the reality of the COVID world and restrictions with that. You know, as the video, when you started your show today, and in my world, I focus on training, coaching, consulting. The reality over the last 6 months, that's definitely shifted where there has been a lot more one-to-one coaching. And indeed, I am grateful to be busy working with some great clients that want to maximize their team and opportunities in that regard. So while I'm doing a lot of the coaching, I'd say on average on a weekly basis, spending 30 to 35 hours a week right now on video calls doing that. So I think that's one item that really comes to mind. You know, the other aspect is to think that I could pretty much do that exclusively at home over the last 6 months. If you were to ask me that 6 months ago, was somewhat mind-boggling, but that is the reality. I probably have had 2 in-person client engagements in the past 6 months. So, you know, COVID's had a real impact on all of us personally and provincially, you know, relative to mental health, but the economic side of being in the business consulting profession of how businesses, people like us and our clients can survive and move forward. So a lot of care and attention onto that, and having a good ear to listen to some very challenged leaders from time to time that are struggling. So you take that very personally, and at the same time, you formulate some really strong relationships over that period of time, and arguably even more so today than ever before, because it's a different type of relationship, thinking that we're all in this together. So that's been the 6 months in a nutshell. And in our spare time, Dune, as I alluded to, my beautiful wife and I decided to sell our house and move during that period of time as well, which I wouldn't recommend. It had a nice outcome, but it added the stress with that when you're trying to show your house and both have home offices at the same time. So you had to be flexible and adaptable in that regard as well.
Yeah. Thank you for and I want sharing that. And I want to underscore for our viewers out there who are watching now and later in the recorded version. By the way, friends who are watching, feel free to comment in the comment section, and we'll be able to see and feature your comment here. And Mike will be able to respond, and we'll have some fun and interactions with you out there, friends. So thank you for sharing that, Mike. I want to underscore that, in fact, you spent 30 to 35 hours on essentially online coaching one-on-one on Zoom, I presume. And, you know, necessity is, as they say, mother of all invention. And this COVID has necessitated this. And sounds like you are rolling with it, my friend.
Yeah, it's you know, we're grateful, and while I'll be honest, I mean, that I used all those technologies in the past, I've become reasonably competent and effective with it since mid-March. Zoom, for the record, has been the predominant, and followed by Microsoft Teams. It's probably almost a 50-50 split on that. Yeah. But you know, the reality is that I have to admit, if I communicate with X number of people in a given week, 10% of the time I'm having a phone call. Yeah. Even now, doing more time on video. I always share the example that if people out there that are less comfortable on video, I said I called my beautiful Auntie Lila out of Saskatchewan on her birthday, her 82nd birthday a while ago, and we did a video chat. So just to put that in perspective, if Auntie Lila can be on video, I think anyone can technically. So.
You bet. Yeah. And again, there are times when the phone is just fine as well. So there are times when you don't need the video component, but great to live in a time when we have all these choices, hey?
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. So Mike, in terms of your work, it seems like now X5 management, I'm going to bring up the website kind of right away here, just so that we can give viewers a sense of the area that preoccupies some of your time. Now, you built a team and you have some folks working with you right now still. And tell us a little bit about X5 management as I bring in this particular your website.
So as I alluded to earlier, Dune, just coming up in early October, it'll be 14th anniversary of X5, and had many iterations of it over time. But you know, today focusing on training, coaching, consulting, and I always say we're in the people business. That's what we do. So traditionally, clients will call us for a number of areas. Maybe current state, maybe struggling with some business development strategies. Customer service obviously has taken a big play, and when my book came out 3 years ago, that was a bigger conversation. A lot of leadership focus, enhancing communication, dealing with conflict. So that's really the lane that we're in. Our tagline, Dune, aligning teams to achieve. How do we get everybody on the same page, flying in formation, and play a moderator, facilitator role in that regard through coaching and other team facilitation. So fundamentally, that's what we do. A lot of great organizations out there that do some similar things to what we do as well. In our lane, it's about the relationship, but the customer also pays for an outcome that we're more functional. We eliminate challenges, holding people to a greater account as well. The coaching side has been something we've been doing for a long time, but as I stated earlier, the COVID situation really created an opportunity that one-to-one made it most practical versus larger team settings. Now, we have done some of that as well. It's just not as user-friendly currently as having one, or I just had a call with 2 executives at a company earlier this morning. So again, that video component works. Really serve as a sounding board to C-suite leaders, sales leaders, as the case may be. And literally we'll say from time to time, we may talk to the CEO, to the janitor, whoever needs our support at a given time. That's what we try to do. Any other questions in that regard, Dune, that comes to mind?
Sorry about that. I had muted myself, and I forgot to unmute. So are there any, do you have your books on your website as well, or is it just on
I do, and I mean, I have them handy in front as well. Obviously,
cool.
I'll just give a quick flash, just not here to promote the book as well. But as you know, a little tip to your viewers as well today, if you're ever going to write a book to make a lot of money on it, don't ever do it for that reason. It's more about making a difference. So this one was my first book 3 years ago. Remarkable Service, How to Keep Your Doors Open. And it's kind of ironic today more than ever that Howard Business is trying to focus on keeping your doors open. And interesting comment on that, Dune, if I may. Many businesses out there, particularly when the economy is more challenged and times are tougher, and really that's how the evolution became to focus on the service side. If they called us for help and say we want some support on growing our sales, our revenue, most cases when we looked at that customer service side, there was so much opportunity that the individuals or the company at large could do to improve the service side. I would say you can improve your business 24/7, 365 days a year, regardless of the economy, in a nutshell. So something I still very strongly believe in today as well.
Nice. So now your second book, let's go there. Do you have it happen to have it?
I do handy. I keep it on there from time to time. So this is a unique one. I actually put together a story. So I have character development on this one. But I think what's as important on this one that I'm most proud of is that it is about business and in life. And, relationships are relationships. So Dune, you and I have been friends and affiliated for the past 12, 13 years. If we had referral opportunities to each other, we would do that. I'm privileged to be on your show today. But ultimately, it has to start with relationships, whether there's a money exchange or otherwise. So this particular book kind of loosely depicts some of the journey in my life that really resonated with me in terms of how we can build powerful relationships and more importantly, how to have relationships for keeps. You and I have known each other for 13 years. And if you were to text me and needed a favor, I would be there to do that. So there's tips and techniques that come up in that particular book, Dune, and you may have recalled one of the statements in the book, LRT, like, respect, and trust. And that's something that I'm really passionate about in that regard, is that, if you want to be liked, you got to be likable. And if you want to be respected, you've got to show respect. And if you want to be trusted, you have to be trustworthy.
You bet. Sounds like being is the key word there. You have to be you have to be what you want to see, and you have to be
In-
what you want to bring about. So
Indeed.
that is relationship for keeps there. And I just want to just quickly show also the other one here on the screen. And so they're both on Amazon there.
Correct.
And in fact, bestseller on Amazon, if I remember correctly, right, Mike?
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Very quickly, in fact, I think on launch day.
Yeah, and it's a journey. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to be Amazon's friend because they're a big machine in the book world. And
Yeah.
I think of most books that you would purchase today, most of us would purchase them through Amazon or Audible books, which are affiliated with Amazon. This one, the other book on customer service, for reference, is also an audio on Amazon. Relationship for Keeps is currently just paperback or Kindle. So
Right. Yeah. Well, cool. Well, thank you for sharing that. Let me take it in delve a little deeper. In writing those books, Mike, what were some insights or some challenges or some thoughts that you would want to share with folks, just in general? Were there some interesting stories about the insights you gained while writing those books?
indeed. So I'll start with Remarkable Service, if I may, because it was the first book. And as you will see, if you look at the copy of the book, I have a lot of stories inside as well. So I have a lot of insights, but I have some of my own stories from traveling to Europe, to Mexico, to local business. But I interviewed a number of people as well. So great stories from some successful IT companies or luxury car dealerships as well. And try to put a bit of a global spin on that as well, to acknowledge remarkable service as a universal thing. It's not just here, it's everywhere. It needs to be alive and well. So
Yeah.
that was a bit more of a collaborative process, if you will. I took some valued insights from other of my centers of influence, my close connections, to interview them and write about their stories as well, to make it interesting. Inevitably, if you pick up a book, I have relative word count in it, so I knew that most people would finish it within a reasonable period of time. So I think that was the takeaway, way more collaboration. I'll be very honest, because it was my first book, it was the most challenging. The second book, Relationship for Keeps, was much easier. Number one, I created a story. I had the frame in mind. I already had another book under my belt. So I found the writing process lots easier. It was still a daunting amount of time that you put into it. Even if you look at the relative word count, they're both hovering around 30,000 words. Yeah. But to not only put it together that there's some value for the reader, but they would enjoy and find each chapter, if you will, of interest as well. So probably even maybe felt more vulnerable in the second book, because you put yourself out there. Some people will love the book and some people won't. So.
I'm not surprised. And I mean, Relationship for Keeps, that is very personal. I mean, it operates, it translates well in business as well, but that is a very personal kind of book about, like you say, relationships. And we're going to hear about some of the awesome relationships that you'll share through some of the photos. And that might be a great time for me to just bring in some of the photos that allow us to, again, hear some stories about you, from you. And let me just bring it in here. And the first one is, looks like you are by the marina somewhere. I'm just going to bring it in here.
Yeah.
And let's see here. Do I have it handy still? No, I'm going to bring it in again here. There it is. And let's have a look.
Beautiful. You'll give me an opportunity to reminisce here today, Dune.
Yeah, tell us about this one, Mike.
Well, all of these are near and dear to me, but this is my dear friend Arnold McLaughlin. This is in Steveston, British Columbia. We had some amazing fish and chips right after that photo. In Relationship for Keeps, Dune, as you're well aware, I dedicated the book to Arnold. Arnold and I have been dear friends. We met on a vacation 16 years ago. He lives in Coquitlam, British Columbia. And we became fast friends. He's like my best friend, my mentor, and my father at the same time. Mm-hmm. So having special opportunities like this when we're face to face, which sadly we've had less of in the last 6 months for obvious reasons because of COVID. But that was an opportunity when I was in on a business trip in Vancouver, where Arnold would pick me up at the airport. We'd plan ahead and grab a day together and do some cool things. Putting in perspective, I'm in my 50s. Arnold is 30 years my senior as well, and we still have this amazing connection. And I'm privileged to know him and hold him in high regard. A quick comment that's worthy of mention, Dune, as you may know, I married my beautiful wife, Benita, 4 years ago. Arnold was my best man at my wedding. So
Wow.
that's our closeness and our relationship for keeps, indeed. Meeting on a vacation in southeastern British Columbia 16 years ago. So
Yeah. Yeah.
amazing.
Wow, that's a great story. And tell us where this photo exactly is. This where's the location of this photo?
Yeah, so Steveston, British Columbia, kind of I've only ever been there once with Arnold, and the reality here is he wanted to do a trip out there because it's a peaceful, smaller community compared to Vancouver. But the primary objective we had, honestly, was so there's a lot of fishmongers there that you could pick up fresh prawns or fish or otherwise. But we lined up for 20 minutes to get the possibly best fish in Western British Columbia as well. So that was the significance of that destination.
Very cool.
That Sunday.
Oh, wonderful memories life is made of.
Indeed. Yeah. So this is a business shot. Again, another example. So photo in the video was Stahl Peterbilt. Brent Lawrence is the part manager, and he's been with the organization for a long time. And I've been privileged to work with Stahl Peterbilt for the past 8 years. I think what's special about this photo, while I'm in a coaching setting with Brent, and this is a public domain photo, Brent and I have also built a personal relationship as well. And he just texted me on the weekend, and I did the same. And it's an evolution where you can meet someone on a vacation or through an MBA class, or a customer can become a friend that you build a solid relationship with. So Brent's the kind of guy, and I know I'd speak for him as well. We would take each other's call 24/7 if we needed to, because we built that trusting relationship over time.
That's awesome. You know, when you have clients that are also great friends, that are also long-term friends, and that's a beautiful story right there, Mike. Beautiful story.
Yeah, I hold it in very high regard indeed.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we hope for, is that our work life integrates into our personal life, where it becomes just one big, kind of holistic life, rather than just compartmentalized, right?
You got it. Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, this is a promo shot, so I appreciate this. Shot a video about a year ago at the convention center. So I had a video shoot particularly on the customer service side. This video is particularly that, but this is the shot. And the meme that we put together here: if you take care of the customer will take care of your business. And something I feel very strongly about. So always serve the best interest of your customer 24/7 if you can. But that's really the statement, more so than anything, behind the shot on this particular clip.
You bet. Cool. Love it.
This is a particularly special photo for a couple of reasons. As we've talked about, Dune, I've been privileged to have a lot of older mentors in my life. And this particular gentleman, the shot's taken a couple of years ago. Harvey Emis sadly passed away 2 weeks ago. In fact, 2 weeks ago today.
Yes.
So Harvey passed away just shy of his 98th birthday. Wow. Harvey and I have been dear friends for about 23 years. And in the latter number of years, so again, this shot was a couple of years ago, we didn't get together as often because, Mike, you're busy. And Harvey's with his wife. They were married just shy of 76 years as well, Minnie. From time to time, I would pick Harvey up. We go to his favorite restaurant, Tim Hortons, pick up a sandwich and a tea, and then I would pick up Harvey in my vehicle and we'd go for a drive. So in this particular shot, we sat down and had our Tim Hortons sandwich near the river and just had this amazing friendship, mentoring conversation. I remember this very vividly. And it was September. So this would be about 2 years ago, give or take, at the exact time of year, in the beautiful river valley in our backdrop there.
Wow. That's a great story when you can tap into knowledge and wisdom and life experience of 98 years on this earth. 98 years. Yeah.
And I'll share something, Dune, if I may. And I was privileged to speak at Harvey's funeral a couple of weeks ago. And Harvey was a very funny man, by the way. So I had to create a little bit of humor in my words at his funeral. And Harvey had said to me one time, and he had a very rough voice, and he said, "Mike, I don't like a lot of people, but I like you." And And I joke about that statement, Dune, because it possibly was the closest compliment I've ever received from Harvey, because I'm not sure I've received another one. But regardless, we had that friendship, and I will say publicly, every time we hung up on the phone, we would say we love each other as well. And we met through Rotary as well, by the way. So 23 years ago, that's where the relationship started. So I'm going to miss him every single day as well.
So give us a quick expanded description on Rotary for those who might not be aware of Rotary.
Yeah, and I had the privilege of being a member a long time. Now, I've not been in Rotary for a number of years, but past president of the Rotary Club of Edmonton, Mayfield. It's a global organization. It's been around since 1905, started in Chicago by a gentleman named Paul Harris. And a couple items, the four-way test of Rotary. So a lot of great things that we do in the community, locally and internationally. But the four-way test of Rotary, and I think we can all apply it in our life, in business and in relationships. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And it will be beneficial to all concerned. So that was that guiding principle, if you will, in Rotary when we looked at it. And it was all about making a difference in the community and a service organization. So it was really not self-serving ever. You weren't there to drum up business, but you did gain business over time because you built relationships. But Rotary is still alive and well, and an amazing organization that does many good things. And I'll give a plug to Rotarians. I mean, Bill Gates has given a lot of money away, but over the last number of years, I don't know how long ago, but he made a commitment to Rotary International, I think a $250 million to help eradicate polio. And I think one of his lines that he stated is that he trusted Rotary so much to do that. That's why he cut him a check for $250 million to do that. So if you know a Rotarian out there, odds are they're pretty amazing people, because they're great people. And I was privileged to be part of it for almost 15 years.
That's awesome. Let me just put the kind of the name on there so that people can see it. Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Pleasure.
Yeah, let me just bring back in the photo here and tell us about this next photo, my friend.
Yeah, well, that's a special photo. And I'll date myself a little bit. That was my 50th birthday, and planned a trip to Maui. And my wife had asked me, Benita, prior to that, what do you want to do on your 50th? And I said, well, I want to go to Maui, and I want to take my 5 brothers and sisters along with their spouses to Maui for a week-long vacation. So we rented a big house on the water, and Benita surprised me with a photo shoot outside of Kihei here on this particular day. So we still have that well displayed in our home as well. And it was a beautiful setting, not only significance of my 50th birthday. And I know what you're thinking, doing, Mike, you can't be 50, but I am. I'm older than that now. But that brings a lot of memories back, not only of a beautiful place, but with a beautiful lady who's become an amazing life partner for me as well, which I'm most grateful for. And again, got to spend time with my family. And as I always say, Dune, really an opportunity when you build relationships, you start building relationships with your family when you're very young. And I'm grateful that I'm still very close with my brothers and sisters today.
Wonderful. I love that pose. Yeah, you have this pose of I don't know. There's something about it. I just both of you just great pose there, and ocean in the back there. Love it. Love it.
It's tough to look bad in a photo like that, I have to admit.
Yeah, it's like
if I look confident, I give Benita all the credit, because every time she's near me, I feel more confident. So it's a good time.
You look like you could be a movie star in some movie. I don't know. Yeah, that's cool.
Sunglasses will do that for you all the time. Thank you. Well, this is a great photo as well. And this really epitomizes relationships for keeps. And I'm going to, so your audience can see my book right now as well. So I want to make reference that Melanie Didero, who I'm going to reference here, actually wrote the foreword on my book. And here's the significance of this. So Melanie and I have been friends, and I'm going to say north of 10 years, probably 12 years. Here's the catch, Dune. Melanie and I have never met. So Melanie was originally in Kelowna. She moved to Spain, and then she was in Amsterdam. Melanie has helped me out a ton. I've felt in some small way I've helped build a virtual relationship. We talked on the phone, video, and again, agreed to write the foreword of my book. but it validates that you can build relationships online regardless. A little kudo to Melanie. She wrote an amazing book. She's written a few books already, but her latest book of LinkedIn Unlocked. In my biased opinion, lots of people in the community do and say that I'm pretty effective with LinkedIn. Melanie gets all of that credit. In my humble opinion, she's possibly one of the brightest LinkedIn experts in the world. Cool. And, the interesting part, agreeing to write my forward, and she talks about reciprocity in the book, is that, when I don't think anyone's ever asked to have her write a forward over the book, but an amazing woman, proud Canadian, but she's working globally. She is a well-known figure in the LinkedIn world on a global basis as well, and one that I hold in very, very high regard.
Very cool. I must say here, as you have this conversation, you're bringing out different dimensions of your life, not only professional life, but personal life. And the relationship is a key thread among all of this. So you're living your message there in your book there, my friend.
Thank you. I sure try.
Your second book. Yeah. I remember meeting you again, 2007 Toastmasters. The first thing first thing that struck me is that, wow, Mike is energetic and he's very he's like vivid. He's just like vivid, like you as the mentor of the club there, and as you visited the clubs and whatnot. I got to know you through that. And then before we got into visiting from a business owner's perspective. And right. The first thing that struck me was that you were, very vibrant and very alive and very in the moment.
Well, and thanks for the kind words. And I want to make a comment on that. And I just want to reiterate in my book, LRT, Like, Respect, and Trust. Mm-hmm. And I always say you have to give it before you get it. And, it's that likable demeanor. I always look at it, if the greatest compliment anyone ever gives me, that I'm vivid and I'm likable, I'm at peace with that, because for the record, it's not that difficult. So I'm happy if that precedes me every single time, I'm okay with that. No one has ever said he's the smartest guy in the room, but they might say he's pretty likable. So I'll take that any day.
There you go. Being liked is good. Good. Again, back to relationships and back on being, we're in the people business here, right? Most people actually are. And some people don't realize that they're in the people business until too late.
I think we all are. Exactly.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, that's...
Well, this one is particularly special. And of course, I've already talked about the two gentlemen. So on the far right-hand side, Arnold, who was the best man at my wedding. This was actually at my wedding almost 4 years ago. Harvey, a short gentleman there who passed away. And then on the far left side, Dune and I would know this gentleman well. He referenced earlier Mr. Toastmaster, Peter Kosowin. And just recently had celebrated just past 50 years in Toastmasters and really became a mentor in my life in that regard. I think he's started over 170 Toastmaster clubs, world record, more than anyone in the world. This picture is significant because it was on my bucket list prior to my wedding, Dune, and I want to share that, is that three of my oldest friends, literally from an age perspective, but also who I regarded as dear friends and mentors, are all like father figures. And to have this photo together on my wedding day is very significant that they were there. And I will say something I'm really proud of, Dune. All three of those gentlemen spoke at my wedding, and it was significant. And that was, Harvey came up to me, and for the record, he wasn't on the program, and he had said, "Hey, Mike, do you mind if I say a few words?" And I said, "Harvey, you're my oldest friend." Of course. So he wasn't on the program, but I'm going to treasure this photo for the rest of my life without question. So.
Yeah. Let me see if I can get Peter's name on there. Hopefully I have it spelled correctly. Did I get that right, my friend?
It's actually Kossowan. Kossowan. Mr. Toastmaster for short.
Yeah, of course. It's coming back to me. I keep calling.
Yeah. I just had Peter over for lunch back in late July. It was his 89th birthday. At that particular time. And yeah, so I still treasure those opportunities, and I'm grateful that you shared the photo. That's a special one for sure.
Yeah, let me zoom it in here a little bit so we can see all the gentlemen in close up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And so again, it's Peter. Let me just get the names here.
Yeah. Peter on the far left, Harvey right beside me, and then Arnold on the far right.
Very cool. These are awesome. So I was going to just go on to the next photo here. Here's you and Bonita having, you do a lot of bicycling, and actually somewhat extreme bicycling by the look of it. You have the sometimes the what is it, the
GoPro.
camera GoPro, and you do some fun stuff, right? Ever crash and crash and burn?
Yes, which is a great segue, because as we get older and hopefully a little bit wiser, doing our extreme has changed. So Bonita and I met 9 years ago, and we had a connection on many levels, but biking was one. So doing a lot of mountain biking in our beautiful river valley in Edmonton, which is incredible if you've never done it. But we've done some cool things in the mountains as well. This particular one we did twice, and give a plug out to the MS bike ride at Hinton. So we went for a bit of a challenge, but at the same time to raise funds for MS. And this was in Hinton. So just to give you context, we did this 2 years in a row. And this is a 90K mountain bike ride. Not for everyone. I mean, we were pretty in decent shape from a biking perspective, and I'm not going to lie, that was a bit of work. So 45K on the Saturday with this is mountain up and down. And if memory serves me correctly, we did both wipe out that particular day in the mountains, and fairly easy to do that. We lived to tell
Was this before or after the wipeout with the
this photo was probably just before this, ironically. And a little bit of history. This was the Saturday of the ride. We did it 2 years in a row, Saturday and Sunday. We don't have, I didn't show you the Sunday photo because it's like it's destiny, because the Sunday, cloud and pouring rain the entire day. So this was a beautiful day. Sunday was work. And we wiped out even more that day because it was just really greasy on the hill, and you had to be really mindful. Bonita and I just went for a bike ride yesterday. So for us, that's a nice connection. Not only some wellness, but being together, and we live fairly close to the river. So to get out and just to see the beautiful scenery today and appreciate fall in our beautiful city and province is quite gratifying.
Love it. There you are with your DTM, the Distinguished Toastmasters.
Yeah, and you were kind enough to say, hey, send some random shots, Mike, that mean something to you. And this one's significant. So I'm going to share 4 things very quickly that I may not be the smartest guy in town, but number one, I decided to take an MBA through Athabasca, which you did as well. Number 2, I met my beautiful wife, Bonita, so pretty wise. Number 3, decided to start my own business. And number 4, I joined Toastmasters International. So those are kind of my 4 wise pieces of wisdom. So I had the privilege of spending 14 years in Toastmasters. And as you know, it's a journey if you decide to become a DTM. So not only a lot of speaking, but there was a lot of leadership and volunteer time that went with that. And of course, my friend Peter Crosswin from the earlier slide really mentored me right from day one in that regard. So quite a highlight. I think the statistics of all Toastmasters worldwide, I think less than 5% of Toastmasters globally actually have a DTM. I didn't do it for that reason. I did it for the learning and the wisdom of it as well. It wasn't so much a bragging rights, because it was a lot of work to be able to do it. It took over 6 years, I think, to do it when it was all said and done. So,
wow, that's that's awesome. That's fantastic. And let me just bring that back in again here. It kind of went black for a moment. Wow. So that was, let me see. I think I saw a year somewhere. What year was that, Mike, that you got your DTM?
Well, and I gotta look, because I'm just going to glance to the right for a second here. So 2015. When I finished it 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was a promotional piece. So thanks for sharing this. Obviously, when you put together a video, you obviously, as a small business owner, you need to market your services. And this is something that I'm very passionate about, whether it's training or coaching. As a business leader, you need to look at that as an investment that most cases you can't afford to pass on. Now, notwithstanding that the economy is more challenged today than it was before, But if you look at it only as a cost, much like taking your MBA, Dune, then you likely aren't going to go down that road versus it being a long-term investment. And that's how I've always tried to look at it, and more importantly, how I've tried to position it with prospective clients as well.
You bet. Yeah. There you are.
Yeah,
is this in what building is this?
Actually, this is near Manulife. I took this one about a year ago. Yeah, just in one of the beautiful pedways there. And it was interesting. I remember this was the promo piece that you had, and I thought, should I wear that suit today? It's actually one of my favorite suits, by the way, but I decided to mix it up and show that I had more than one outfit for the program today.
But we have now established that you like this square patterns.
I guess I do. Yeah, maybe I'm a square, but that's not all wrong or bad.
Very cool. Very cool. So thank you for sharing the stories and insights from those photos, my friend.
Pleasure.
Mike, I want to maybe show the next video. Next video is of you really about the speaking side of your business. Maybe tell us a bit about that while I bring it in here, my friend.
Sure. So if you're showing the promo side and on the speaking side, as you can appreciate, Dune, because you're a member of the Professional Speakers Association, at the end of the day, you can be deemed effective at what you do, but you still have to always market and promote yourself. So really put this video together. This is about a year and a half ago, and was able to shoot it at the beautiful convention center in Edmonton. And really, this is tailored on the customer service side. The intent of the video is that I didn't want to show that I was all things to all people, versus this was a lane relative to remarkable service and how to keep your doors open. So a bit of a production for a just under 2-minute video to put that together, and not only have the audience choreographed at the same time, but having your video people involved, and there's real work involved. So kudos to my video folks that I use all the time. Jeff Ellen Productions, I'll give him a plug, because he's done a lot of work for us over the years, and he just does some incredible work.
This is the correct video, right?
You got it. Exactly.
Let's take a
Thank you.
listen.
When we get calls from time to time to help with sales growth, if we find out that the customer service aspect is not strong, sales growth is irrelevant. We've got to deliver the service. It's the one thing that any business can control 24/7. If you take care of the customer will take care of your business. The reality today is good customer service, most people don't talk about. Remarkable service is that extra layer up that differentiates your business from your competition. What do you do incredibly well that your customers would remark about? Sales and customer service is not a transaction. It's a relationship. Communication matters.
Mike Mack is an exceptional leader. He is the guy you want in the front lines talking to your people and your staff.
So the question is, when was the last time that any business in any industry made your problem their problem?
Mike is such a charismatic guy, but there's a lot of substance behind what he's saying as well.
So what sets your business apart from your competition? So dig a little bit deeper. What do our customers see every time they enter our place of business?
We've implemented a lot of his strategies, and they work because they're just mired in common sense.
Everyone that's sitting there in a chair is a potential customer.
He talks in a way that's conversational and inspiring and making you really think thoughtfully about your business, about your people, and where you can take it.
If you could only ask your customer one question to improve customer service, this is what I would say.
I wholeheartedly recommend Mike to whoever is looking to increase the performance of their organization.
Fantastic.
That's for sure.
Yeah, let's. I'm just going to do this here. Where is that volume? So tell us, Mike.
When we get calls from time to time to help with sales growth,
kind of speaking
if we find
as a way to connect. I mean, I think I know what your thoughts are, given your background and what you shared so far. But tell our viewers who maybe not thinking about speaking in quite the same way, what might you encourage them about how speaking is such a powerful way to connect?
Yeah, it's a great question, and you and I have had the opportunity to do that. I'm grateful, and I think I look at Toastmasters as a catalyst. Number one, you got to be reasonably effective as a communicator one-to-one, but it's a taller order if you're doing that in an audience. I think the second piece that I learned a long time ago was, picking your lane. So if you're going to use speaking from a marketing perspective, that you can't be all things to all people. So in our lane, we talk about improving business in that regard. Customer service is one aspect of that. So on the professional speaking side, you and I are both members of CAPS. It's really allowed us an opportunity to, I guess part of it is the perception of your own credibility, that you have the ability to do that. You're an expert that happens to speak. I will say, and particularly during COVID, Dune, in the last 6 months, I have actually done a lot of speaking, and most of that has been complimentary. I will, full disclosure, because it was strategic in what I was doing as well. Not only making the difference, but I have been blessed to be paid to speak as well. So number one, know your messaging, know what your audience wants relative to that as well. If they want it to be interactive versus kind of a broad-based Q&A conversation, whatever it may be. So be very particular. And I think the obvious, in my mentor Arnold's wisdom, perfect practice makes perfect. So you got to continue to do this, much like what you're doing right now with your program. You've got 100 of these shows under your belt, and your production of this has really been evident in that regard. And your communication and speaking abilities has made you a great host. So, I commend you on your program, because this is another kind of venue and medium, if you will, to not only share, great speakers that are out there, are great experts as well, but it gives you an opportunity to be that connector of good content information. So I applaud you for the strategy and the intent, and it's work. I know how much pre-work you and I have put into this particular meeting, and the detail and attention to detail that you put into it. So hopefully your audience appreciates that, because the production of it really is evident, and you left nothing to chance. You put all the effort into it, and that extra effort really shows in the outcome. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your kind words of encouragement, Mike. And, I started this weekday series on April 21st. So it was, shortly after COVID impacted our area, Alberta.
Right.
And it's been, like you said, certainly a lot of work, but it's been worthwhile for me and for the people that I serve. So our guests, such as yourself, as well as the community. I see it first and foremost a community connection initiative. So that's what it is. That's why we have all kinds of folks on here. We have business folks like yourself, professional speakers like yourself. We have professional musicians, Hall of Fame speakers, Hall of Fame musicians, everything in between, because I just wanted to connect the community during this challenging time.
Yeah. And I want to make a comment on that. And we've talked a lot about that, as I think the reality today, particularly, is that our community is far beyond the borders of Edmonton. I mean, even you live in Sherwood Park, so we could argue that that's outside.
Yeah.
But on that global perspective, and, I've seen a lot of your guests that you've had, and you've done a tremendous job of not only the variety, but where they reside and what they do professionally as well. And I think, advice that I give businesses from time to time, not everybody can do this, but kind of think of that global aspect as your oyster, so to speak, if you can do that. And I think that will serve you well. Not everybody can do that. If you're a restaurant in Edmonton, that's a bit more difficult to branch out when you have a bricks and mortar. But good on you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Now, I want to do a time check, Mike. I would love to continue this conversation beyond the hour that we had advertised. Are you okay for time, my friend?
I am. I've made sure I carved out ample time today. So let's keep rolling. Do a time check with me in 15 minutes or so, and we'll see where we are. Beautiful.
Wonderful. Well, I'm enjoying this, and I hope you are as well, Mike. And I know our viewers, some of them watch during the live broadcast, many actually watch after. And, certainly we have an audience that is benefiting from this and enjoying this. And so the next thing I want to maybe go back to is I want to go back to your website again here, and I want to kind of bring it up a little bit and tell us, give us a quick tour of your website. What might people find, and how that, I see you have a blog, I see you have different things on there. So I'll just highlight it there for you to kind of give us a quick intro.
Yeah, I think where there's kind of rich in the content side is on the training side. So if you click that, we're also in the process of updating our website. And as you know, this is pretty much something you do 12 months a year. So So in this regard, this would give some of your audience just some indications of some of the programs that we focus on. Mm-hmm. So the line that we always say is, if a client, a business client, calls us, and if you're scrolling through that, that's great. We spend a lot of time on communication, customer service to make that strong and hopefully remarkable. So we've got really strong programs, not all of which that we have built. We're strategic partners. We do use the Everything Disc tool a lot when it comes to communication, because that is the universal kind of foundation, if you will, on any effective and successful business, that we need to be aligned and communicating with various departments to avoid the silos. So again, a lot of lane in the customer service side. A little bit of a tip here, if you stop that for your viewers, this is a video that I highly recommend. If you do check out the website, Danny Meyer talking about hospitality. Mm. This is a one that I'm really, really passionate about. And he did a great job. This was actually produced by Lexus, the car manufacturer, relative to showing hospitality and is it different than customer service. But what I love about this particular video and the takeaway, it's only 5 minutes long, is that really talks about the soft skills that go behind hospitality. Mm. So things like self-awareness, empathy, work ethic, curious intelligence, et cetera, that come up. So there is some available content that, whether we ever work together or not, there's some free resource there that your viewers can take advantage of as well. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you want to keep scrolling, I'll give a little commentary as we go down. Emotional intelligence, Dune, I'll talk about that. That one has been really a sought after conversation, particularly in the last 6 months. We think about the need to be emotionally intelligent in today's environment, let alone any environment, is critical. That, how you handle the pressures and challenges of business realities today. So this has been a sought after conversation and program that we've spent a lot of time on, to identify and measure one's ability and their comfort level and emotional intelligence. We talk about things like being self-assured and showing empathy and being resolute, et cetera, just to name a few. Those are some of the measured indexes that come up in that particular report, but it's fielded a lot of attention. So the video link there just gives a deeper dive on to what that particular program is all about.
Very cool.
Yeah. And again, we talked about communication. I mean, we spend time on that every single day. It's the universal language, if you will. You got to be good at it in any department, regardless of the industry that you're in.
It's the underpinning or overarching thing that all work and all people are connected through communication.
Yeah, you got it. And the other one here, I just missed the top of it, but I think this was on the we get into the conflict side coming up as well. This is still communication. This is just another communication side. Leadership. Spend a lot of time on that. I'm privileged right now. We work with a number of C-suite leaders and CFOs and controllers and CEOs and COOs. And that leadership development is that someone could be strong technically, but learning to be more effective. So this particular program, Work of Leaders, really helps give a measured index on how leaders look at vision, alignment, and execution. So it's deemed best practice outcomes. Those are the tools that we like to use. For the record, we didn't create them. They all come from our strategic partner of Wiley, where we use DISC and other related programs as well. So we didn't reinvent it.
I want to put a spotlight on a word that you use there. When I do a lot of university teaching and corporate training of leaders and managers, I shed a spotlight on this word, and that word is alignment. Mm-hmm. Alignment is such a powerful word when it comes to organizational effectiveness, when it comes to, basically any kind of concerted effort in any organization. It requires that alignment is well understood and well managed and well stewarded too, right?
Yeah, and it's never assumed or implied just because we work together that we're all aligned. So
exactly.
Communication needs to come into that. You're very, very right.
And in fact, the worst thing is that we believe we're aligned, but we're not. That would be the worst thing. Then I'm not sure if we're aligned. Let's check, right? As they say, there's this funny quote that goes, it ain't what we don't know that hurts us so badly, is what we know for sure. That's just ain't so.
Very, very good point indeed. And then, of course, we get into the training of the team side. we use this program a lot by Patrick Lencioni's 5 Dysfunctions. We have a program through Wiley that is the 5 Behaviors program, and really drills down. We get, again, measured indexes on how a team sees themselves from a trust perspective, conflict, particularly productive conflict. The next part of the video you wouldn't see there in that little black box is commitment. And I'll reference when teams have a lack of commitment, there's a lack of clarity as well as a lack of buy-in. Accountability gets a lot of attention. Holding team members and peers accountable is one of the most difficult things that team members have to deal with. And then at the end of the model, ultimately, we're all here to build a collective result for the organization, regardless of the department.
Yeah.
And productive conflict. And again, you can say, is it possible to have productive conflict? Well, it's the best way to do it. I always look at 2 things. Number one, most people avoid conflict. Some people compete against it. Few want to collaborate on conflict. And that's where that productive conflict comes in. Inevitably, we've got to collaborate. Let's deal with the issue, not compete against each other to resolve a desired outcome. So those are the ones you showed are kind of our high items of focus that we've definitely put a lot of attention on, particularly in the last 6 months through COVID, for sure.
Cool. And folks, you can check out the blog there and various resources on the website. But I have another question for you, Mike. In your kind of view and from your vantage point, how has small to medium business kind of context, or how have they changed over the last few decades? Or are they sort of the same as what they always were? What are some of the key kind of differences in the last couple of decades, if you can kind of pull them out?
That's a great question. I mean, I think the obvious one is this global reach and global competition. I mean, it's there. It doesn't matter if you are the small pop anywhere. Amazon is a household name, and we'd all be lying if we didn't say we bought something from Amazon in the last 6 months, because I know we have on many occasions. It's convenient. So that global awareness is there regardless, whether, it's not just in Eastern Canada versus Alberta. This is everywhere. So the awareness of that is critically important. I think some are still in old school thinking. And I'll just say some of the context. I won't necessarily say customers that I work with, but, buzzwords that come out are relative to being innovative and creative and being willing to disrupt a little bit and pivot today. I mean, COVID's probably the new buzzword of pivot has been critical. Not every business can pivot. One of the things that I really credit some great leaders on, particularly if it was a mom and pop business that grew to a bigger enterprise today, is that bringing in some outside brand strength. And just for the record, that's not always someone like me, but I know in some examples of businesses I work with today, where they brought in some outside expertise to become a VP of marketing, as an example. Now, with that has come a lot of stress and challenge, but it's critical because they don't know what they don't know, and they got to rely that this expert or someone with strong background comes in. So those that trust and embrace that and the willingness to take it to where it's been. The old saying of definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over. And the reality, if you had some great things in your business 10 years ago, half of that is probably irrelevant today, right? As you probably know. So I think, the awareness of, well, this will pass. COVID from a health perspective may evolve to an extent, beyond masks, but the ripple effect of the economic side of this is critical. But as you and I well know, there's businesses out there that are still thriving in this environment today. And you say, how is that? How are they doing that? And I would say that's not by accident. That's planned and on purpose as well.
Yeah. And it's a great time for me to get back into the realm of relationships and the importance of relationships. And as we get back to that, maybe I'm going to pull up a video that I'm going to share. Tell us about this video clip. I believe it's a Facebook clip where you were at an event and it was just mingling with the groups. And tell us a bit about that.
Well, when I see the opening of it, I'll cue it up. This event was actually my book launch of Remarkable Service at River City Events, actually in Edmonton. And of course, Joe Omar, you're almost neighbors, if I'm not mistaken. So
we're actually, he's the house behind me.
Yeah, I knew you were close. So yeah, this is when my remarkable service launched 3 years ago, and I'll set the stage as you're doing it, because I think it's the only other video that I sent you. Really, two things, Dune, that I wanted to do. Number one, having a book launch, if you ever do it, think of it as an event. It's not a money maker. You don't get a lot of press on it because I'm not that famous. So from my perspective, I really had two objectives. I wanted to bring some people together. I think I was proud to say we had about 100 people in the room that night, which was awesome, including my mother-in-law and father-in-law, which made it special. Had some clients in the room. And then at the same time, I wanted to do something for the community. And I've been grateful that I've had a good friendship and relationship with Bissell Center in Edmonton for a number of years. And really, Gary St. Amand is the CEO, and Gary and I have become friends a number of years ago, and I've done some in-kind work and donated my time at the Bissell Center. So what I decided to do is that night when the book launch occurred, any books that I sold, I actually donated the proceeds directly to the Bissell Center that night. So that was the intent. So what you'll see here of the video backdrop as it's queuing in is really just a informal kind of zoom of the room that night in terms of what was going on at River City Events at that time. And it was less of a show about me and more about the Bissell Center. One of my former clients, Jerry Laurente, who's the dealer principal at Bavaria BMW, also spoke as well, because they were kind enough to, I'll say, donate a couple BMWs that night, not to give away, but they had a bit of a lease incentive as a draw, and all of that money went to the Bissell Center that night as well. So made for a special night. So I'm not sure the video is queuing in there, maybe because it's
let me
Facebook side.
Yeah, make sure that I got the spelling correct. Did I get the?
Yeah, you did. You nailed it perfectly. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's take a look and listen.
Nicely done.
Let's see if we can make sure that we have video and audio happening here for this particular segment. I'm going to hit play here.
Yeah, all good. There we go.
Oh, you know what, Mike? Let me just deal with that here. Because what happened is I was managing the Facebook kind of muting, and let me just unmute it here so that...
Yeah, I can hear it fine, by the way. You were doing good at the last 20 seconds, so...
sorry about that.
All good, no worries.
Love it, love it.
There we have it. I want to comment, if I may, on the red door. I got to give a plug to one of my clients, Rago Millworks, has been around for 50 plus years. I brought up the idea, and they were at the event, but I said, hey, it'd be great if I could have a red door as a prop. So they actually built that door for me as a gift to me, and I was, they're my customer, and I still have that door. I'm actually putting it in my new basement downstairs in my new house. I'm gonna have it there for a long-term souvenir how to keep your doors open, so to speak.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love it.
it was fun.
Now, perhaps you might want to do a shout out to our friends Joe and Anna at River City Events and their team there.
Yeah, indeed. Joe and Anna are not only indeed dear friends as well, but they have done some amazing things for me. I've been privileged that I've had them as a valued client in previous times also. And when you think about today's environment, any way you can support them in terms of even a small event, I think that's incredibly important in terms of what they do. But they're one of the best in the city without question, and they care a lot about this community as well. And I hold them both in very, very high regard. So,
yeah, wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing that, Mike. And I must highlight it. When your in-laws are able to come and help you celebrate, you got something special going there, my friend.
Yeah, well, thank you. And a comment on that, Dune, if I may, is that I joke when we talk about relationship for keeps, whether it's Arnold, my mentor, or you, that works very well in the in-law category as well. So, I reference, I think in the last 9 years being in my wife's family, I believe I've had 6 or 7 weeks of vacation with my in-laws. And
Wow.
I would do it in a heartbeat again as well, because they are indeed special people. My father-in-law is a retired entrepreneur, also a fellow Rotarian, who also did Dale Carnegie public speaking training as well, not Toastmasters, but we have a lot of commonalities as well. And I think the highlight for me is that my mother-in-law actually allows me to cook now because she's very good at it. And I, as a guy, I quite enjoy cooking. So when she gives me the kitchen, that's probably the highest compliment she can give me as well. So.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
You're a lucky guy, my friend. But of course, we know from famous quotes from Pastor. Is it Pastor or who says? He says, luck favors the prepared mind. Now, is it Louis Pastor? Anyway,
I think you're right. I don't know the.
I'd probably goof up the
name.
pronunciation, but I know who I'm talking about. But excuse the pronunciation there. But luck favors the prepared mind, and you do all you can to put things in place and enjoy the luck that comes your way, I suppose.
True. I'd like to comment on that, and I believe in luck as well. And there's no guarantee it's going to happen, but particularly even in the last 6 months, and I know Benita and my wife would talk about it. Luck aside, showing gratitude on a regular basis. And sometimes that could be the gesture that your friend Dune reaches out to you and asks how you're doing. Now, is that lucky, or are you grateful of the relationship and the opportunity? And it's a small difference, but I'm grateful because I think about it all the time. And it's the smallest things that having lunch with my friend who passed away from 2 years ago, Harvey, that's an opportunity. Like, I took advantage of having someone in my life like Harvey and realized I wanted to give him some time. And I think that's what we all need to be mindful of. And particularly when times are more tough, is that maybe we have a greater tendency to avoid that and not reach out to someone and ask for support or whatever the case may be. So I think it's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? We can't just sit here and be lucky. We've got to create those opportunities as well.
Absolutely. You can't be harvesting if you don't sow any seeds
100%.
and have some patience.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Hey, Mike, as we round the corner on the time here, tell us, are there areas, there's no rush, by the way, are there areas that you want to chat about that we haven't gone to yet, my friend?
Yeah, well, I'm open to anything because you've been a great host today. I think maybe this segue a little bit, that's something I'm very passionate about on the relationship side. And I alluded it to earlier with LinkedIn and so on, but that the social media side / platform, whether it's Facebook or it's LinkedIn, on relationships. So I'm happy to talk about that, and maybe I'll open it up with, in my lane, you're a big player on Facebook. You've got way more friends and connections due to not just your show, but you've had that before. In my lane, I'm pretty strong on LinkedIn, and number one, they call it connections. They don't call it friends versus Facebook, where, the question comes up, can you build a relationship with someone that you've never met? Well, quick answer is yes. And you can do that on the telephone. But even in today's environment with video, that individual could be anywhere in the world, really. So, I've got, maybe you can ask me a comment or a question on that, but I'm really passionate about it, and it served me well over time from a business perspective. But it's not just about marketing and selling your services either. It's way more than that when it comes to social media and relationships anyway.
Yeah. I mean, social media is very important for many people, but particularly for folks who are doing the kinds of things that we're doing. As an interesting point, Mike, I was actually, I had about 3 times more connections on LinkedIn than I had Facebook friends until very recently here. Now I still have 30 some hundred connections on LinkedIn, but recently here it's been whatever Facebook allows us a maximum, right? The 5,000 is, you got to stay with that. But I think there's a lot of folks who are connected with me on LinkedIn, also connected with me on Facebook, because, it's gotten to a point, love it or hate it, Facebook is used by many folks who are very much in the LinkedIn space. And so, I applied for a LinkedIn live broadcast. So hopefully any day now, I would be able to get that authorization. And so any day now, I'll be able to do live on LinkedIn.
Nice. Yeah. And again, those platforms are great for obvious reasons, right? Strategically, I've spent more time on the LinkedIn side from a business perspective.
Yeah.
Facebook has been more personal by my own choice. That Facebook is still, there's twice as many users out there on Facebook platform than there are on LinkedIn. So in that context, Facebook is still a giant resource. Mm-hmm. In the context of LinkedIn, a couple little tips that I would always offer is it's about engagement. It's about connection. Right. So personalize a message if you're going to reach out to someone versus just give them a cold invite. And I'm sure you made that comment. You probably could have thousands more LinkedIn connections as would I. I didn't accept everybody that sent me a note because some are a little suspicious, if you will. So you avoid that. And the same with Facebook. So we need to be mindful of that at the same time. Common sense should prevail regardless.
You bet. Now, so I think the whole idea of, again, transparency is more than ever, as they say, transparency is a new currency, it seems. So as we open more of ourselves to our kind of clients that we work with and the future clients and to other people who maybe in the community and whatnot, we just have really a network of connections that we can't really predict how they play out, right? So it's just a bit more, a bit richer when you have those connections or I suppose friends and whatnot.
Yeah, and I think the obvious is that you've got to be that same person in person as you are online, if you will. And Dune, I can attest to you in 13 years. Other than you got a different backdrop today, you're that same guy. That
I got a bit more gray hair today than you've seen me for a while, right?
I was going to say that COVID has made you wiser. That's the only thing I was going to comment on. So.
There you go. If we can charge, set our consulting rate based on the amount of gray hair we have, my rates have just increased here during COVID time.
Good for you. Hey, it's all good. It's distinguished. You look good, by the way. So I've known you a long time. Not that you didn't look good before, but it works for you quite nicely. So
thank you. There's a funny little thing there. A friend of mine, musician friend of mine, a number of years to my seniors, and we were prepping for an interview. And when he came on, he says, "Hey, Dune, I like the silver." And here's me. I didn't even know what he was referring to. Silver. Oh, silver.
Yeah.
So I'm still new to this natural silver.
Distinguished. There we go.
Yeah. Tell us, Mike. So LinkedIn, and do you get into Instagram at all, or?
I do. I'm a lightweight when it comes to Instagram at this point in time.
Yeah, LinkedIn is where it's at for you.
Yeah. When I look at, I think it's like anything. Pick your lane. Can you be the guru on all of them? And I'm by no means a guru on LinkedIn, but I put more attention on LinkedIn, and I always have. I've been on LinkedIn, I think 16 or 17 years. I've been on Facebook 8. I've been on Instagram 2 years. I'm just putting context, right? So it's there. It doesn't change my world. If I got a beautiful photo of a bike trip or something I put on Instagram, it's less value content in that regard. And again, as a small business, you've got to decide kind of where you're investing your time as well and resources on that. And LinkedIn it's become great for me, but at the same time, I understand how it works too. So a lot of people would say, wow, how much time do you spend on it? And I don't spend a lot of time on it. It's very strategic, the time that I spend on it. So I don't need to spend an hour a day. I might spend 20 minutes a day on LinkedIn max, probably less.
Yeah. So as we, again, circle back to the relationship thing, which is really the common thread to all of these things that we've been talking about, really, could you maybe, for the benefit of our viewers, pull out maybe 2 or 3 pearls of wisdom in your journey of really building relationships and building, as you say, relationship for keeps? What are 2 or 3 key pearls of wisdom that you might want to share? And people might know it before, but maybe they hear it differently when they hear it coming from you, and maybe that will resonate.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. And that's a great question because I'm passionate about it. I did talk about LRT earlier. That's my signature one in the book. So like, respect, and trust, building relationships fundamentally. And I will say there's been relationships that I've had that I've honored, like, respect, and trust for a long time. And I didn't get it in return for a year or 18 months. But I wasn't really keeping score. So be that person that's giving LRT first. The second one that comes to mind is COI, Center of Influence. And in my world, I have a lot of those connections. Dune, you're one of those centers of influence connections. Joe Amar at River City Events, not only as a friend, he's a center of influence. Here's my criteria with my center of influence. They like me, respect me, and trust me. And their position is irrelevant. It could be the janitor, the CEO, a big business owner, my cousin, or my brother-in-law. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the C-suite all the time in that regard. So I think most of us in our life have centers of influence. This shouldn't be the same number as the number of connections you have on LinkedIn, by the way. Usually it's a smaller number. The guide, maybe that's 25 or so centers of influence that I would have. And that does shift over time. The third item, in no specific order again, that came up in the book, let it go. So we think about relationships. Sometimes, it's never happened, Dune, in 13 years, but maybe somebody said something that upset you and it bugged you today. Do you hold that forever, or do you let it go? Now, this is a famous thing that just happened recently with Ryan O'Neal and Tatum O'Neal. Famous. They've just reconnected after 17 years of being estranged. And there was a quote she said on the weekend I saw on social media, and I thought it was very powerful, is that if something happened to my dad or he died, I realized I wouldn't be okay with that. So I reconnected. Now, different relationships for different, in terms of family or close relationships. But sometimes we let that go. Like, I look at it, if my wife does something that upsets me once, is that, well, the relationship trumps everything. So let it go. So maybe that's an issue with a client and the client said or did something, but let it go. You move past that over time and try to make the amends if you regard that. I think the other inevitable one on relationship for keeps, it's a journey. Think of it that, okay, well, are we friends yet? Like I've given you 30 minutes, because nowadays, and this isn't just a generational thing, but we're so impatient. We need this instant gratification where, I think of someone like Harvey who passed away recently. I've known him for 23 years. Our deepened relationship started 10 years ago. And even in the last 5, it's even deeper and richer. So if you think about an investment, that's the journey. Much like your family. I'm blessed that I have a great relationship with my family, because they are the people in my life that I've known the longest. And sadly, there's a lot of families out there that are estranged and don't have a relationship. But by choice, it's something that I want to have and always have. So those are probably the 4 nuggets that I care a lot about. One on the bonus side is that when you're building a relationship and we talk about trust, maybe you need to be vulnerable, and maybe you're not going to be as transparent, Dune, with a new friend in the first 30 days, but be okay with that over time. And it is applicable in business and it's applicable in life as well. So put yourself out there to build a stronger relationship over time.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing those, again, distilling those down to things that we can keep in mind, Mike. And as we wrap this up here, my friend, was there any video or photos? I think we looked at the videos and we looked at the photos. Take us out, my friend, in whatever way you can take, as long as you like. You can do a monologue, you can do a soliloquy, whatever it is. Take us out on this broadcast here, and I'll turn the steering wheel over to you, my friend. And
you are probably one of the finest hosts I know, because you've done a great job of making it all about me today, and I'm grateful. Now, I'll just reiterate the relationship side. I think now more than ever, when we think about COVID, and while we're not having the same social networking events like we had before, never lose sight on keeping in contact with key people in your life, personally and professionally. So put an effort to be able to do that. I think that's one. I think in the business front, because that's what I think about every day, is that, if you have an idea and you can help someone, whether you're getting paid for that or not, there's a lot of people out there that are struggling today on the business side. Offer our support and help make a difference. If you're a business owner, you got to step outside the box and get creative if you need some help. And what you did 5 years ago may not work. I think the other aspect is, continue to be a good contributor to society, if you think about that. And, I'm about, the voice for good versus the voice for evil. So how do we make a difference? And we sometimes do, and as you know, we got to tune out social media channels on the negative side, because it doesn't serve us well. So we need to protect ourselves. I think we need to protect ourselves on the mental health side, because that's likely even a bigger conversation than we're talking about today. And I care a lot about people. So if someone is struggling and we don't know about it, it's more difficult to help them. So those are kind of my takeaway pieces. And, and I think, be kind to yourself, always kind of validate, what do you want? What are you good at in terms of how you contribute to society, regardless of what you do personally or professionally? And, be okay with the fact that we all can make a difference in other people's lives differently. So that's a bit of my takeaway. And maybe the final comment is to you, Dune. Number one, I want to thank you again for the invitation. More importantly, the relationship and friendship, relationship for keeps in 13 plus years and different channels, and really applaud you for what you're trying to do. And I admire the program, because it is a conversation with Dune and friends, and how appropriate that we happen to be talking about relationships today. So again, thank you, my friend, as well.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mike. And again, we really appreciate your time. I know you're a busy guy, 35 hours of online coaching, with individual coaching using Zoom and Microsoft Teams and whatever have you. And so with all that busyness, thank you for saying yes to this when I reach out and ask if you'd be able to join us for an hour and a bit. And so much appreciated for that.
My pleasure. And any time. And hopefully there was, even if there was an ounce of benefit to some of your listeners today, I'm grateful to have played a part of that as well. So thank you again, Dune.
Thank you so much, folks. You've been listening to Mr. Mike Mack, a friend and colleague of mine. We have so many threads in common, and it was a delight to hear from him and to see him today. And feel free to ask him questions in the recorded version of the video as well here. I'm sure if you have any questions for Mike, he'll be able to respond to that offline as well. So till we meet again, folks, take good care of yourself, take good care of one another, and have a wonderful rest of your day.